Welcome, everyone, to the Conversations of Hope in March. And I know that we had the good fortune to have Alice on in January, which I thought was so appropriate because as she transitioned from the director of shelter into being our executive director, it was a great way for her to share all of the updates stepping into that role and all the progress she was seeing. However, there is so much happening within the Hope on the larger level that it seemed really appropriate to bring her back on so that she could continue the conversation with everybody. So welcome, Alice. It's really, really great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. And thank you everyone for being here. I'm Alice Seltenfuss. I only go by Alice because of that long last name, but that's me. And I'm loving being executive director of this very wonderful organization called Hope at a very challenging time when so many people are looking for housing. So thank you, Kimberly.
Oh, absolutely. So we're going to start out, and I will keep an eye on the chat box. So I want to invite you to put any questions you may have in the chat box, and I will share them with Alice as we move through her updates. But we're going to start out. There's 4 areas that she really wants to talk with you about and give you an overview. And the first one's really basic. What are the Hope updates? So
Thank
take it
you.
away.
We were blessed a few weeks ago to have Kyle Clark with this show on Channel 9 called Next with Kyle Clark reach out to us because they had done the very first opening of Safe Lot, our program where people are in their cars and we take care of them until they run off into the sunset into housing. Well, he was so positive about, let's do this. We've got this storm coming in. This was, about a month ago. And you all will do great on this. And you know what we did? And here's why we did well on this. First off, if you have watched it on Wednesday nights, it's micro giving. So Kyle says for everybody who donates $5, he'll match that. And sure enough, he did. So by the time all was said and done, that show Next brought in 60,000, just a little more than 60,000 for our Safe Lot program. Why that is so important? Well, because of COVID, I know we all blame things on COVID and I'm going to try not to, but because of COVID, our fundraising, when we try and do fundraising and Kimberly spends a jillion hours on it, we only get half the people show up. So that means we get half the money. So there's that. That's okay. We'll just keep on trucking. But the other thing is what made us so popular with people is a lot of people in Denver are seeing, as you see the news, all of these folks on the street with all of these tents and what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We want to help people, but we want our city back. What's the right thing to do? And what people saw was what we are. And what we are is a short-term solution to homelessness. So when you advocate for us and you are population out there that speaks so highly of us, we are a short-term solution to homelessness. We can get people into housing from the Safe Lot program between 2 weeks to 4 months, with 4 months being our average. But our navigation shelter that a lot of our volunteers help out with, our navigation shelter, they're averaging 4 to 5 months getting people into housing. And those are the people who are working, they're meeting with their case manager, and they're saving money. And so when people saw Kyle talk about us and they saw, wow, look at the innovation going up in Northern Colorado in that little community called Longmont that's growing, they wanted to give and they were excited and they sent us emails and they said, this is great. We need Safe Lots all over the place. And so I just would like that little excerpt to be part of our vocabulary, short-term solution to homelessness. We're very proud of it. And that was kind of an aha. This is an update that's near and dear to my heart. Kimberly, with her amazing ability to find us grants, reached out to someone she knew. They connected to Mental Health Partners, and 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I knew we needed help with therapy for our clients. Heck, we need mental health assistance for everybody in the world right now with COVID, but in our shelters, in our safe lot, there are individuals that have experienced amazing, awful things that have led them to homelessness. And you know this, but where is the help for that? And where is the convenient help, right? Because we're homeless, we're carrying everything on our back, in our backpack, we're coming to a shelter. Oh yeah, we're working full time. We're sleeping on the floor on a mat. We have this wonderful food and it's a warm place to be in, loving Hope staff, but still the capacity to make an appointment, and then the availability of mental health in the United States. We've talked about that before. It's tough to get in. So guess what? We're going to have a counselor, like someone with a background that can do therapy, one-on-one, group, build a rapport. Takes forever to build trust. That's okay. They'll do it. And that's going to start in the very near future. And that's a wish come true. I'd be like, oh yeah, someday. Oh yeah, someday. Someday is here. We got it. I love it. We've got it. Woo! Deal breaker. All right, behind me, I guess that would be my left shoulder, is Misty. Misty is known by Hope for over 10 years. And she let us take this picture a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Misty is housed. I don't know if you know this. We go on housing meetings, or case managers do. Jeanette, Cyrus, they go on housing meetings, and then there's Peggy, who can find housing for just about anybody. We have these 3 amazing case managers. We refer to them as client advocates. Well, the city of Longmont has now housing for our city residents. So we go to these county meetings and our clients get on these lists, but now we apply for housing at the city level. So we have the suites over by the mall area, and we have Briarwood that's at around Mountain View and Main Street. Misty is housed. That's all I can say. So I'm going to continue on. I'm going to stop right there, but I just want you to keep her in your heart because she's housed, and we're all going to be looking in on her and see how she's doing. It's tough when people get housed that have been on the street a long time. We have a gentleman in Boulder. He stayed in his tent in the living room for a month till he got used to his apartment. Now he doesn't need the tent. So we're making baby steps, but significant steps with our chronically homeless individuals who are on the street. We do have a shortage of permanent supportive housing. That would look like it's a place you can stay, and there are people who check on you and go, hey, let's see if you have some groceries. You want me to sit and visit with you while you do your dishes? And did you know we have this little pantry down the hall? And did you know there's this meeting and that meeting? Permanent supportive housing is a great thing, and it is expensive, but we're looking forward to hopefully having more opportunities like that in Longmont. Another update is our data. 2021 data shows that we housed in Boulder County, we housed 50 homeless individuals in 2021. We assisted 10,628 individuals with everything: housing, food. We have our soup angels who deliver food that makes a big dent in us keeping people healthy. We have volunteers who serve food and go out on street outreach. But we touched over 10,000 people, you know, almost towards the 11,000 point in 2021. And we are hoping that we just continue the good work. I think I touched on this last time, but at our navigation shelter, we have chronically homeless individuals. When they do coordinated entry, which assesses them to go to the Boulder shelter or Longmont for navigation, We refer to individuals who need a focus of housing as housing focus, because we're going to try and get them on disability so that that will cover their rent and things like that. So we have 13 to 15 individuals in Longmont who normally would have been referred to Boulder, but they're with us at our navigation shelter, and we're side by side. Let's go get your social security card. Let's get your ID. Let's make a relationship with that doctor. The biggest downside to disability is not having a relationship with a doctor who knows your medical history. So those are the things that we're working on, and I wanted you to know about that. I'm going to turn the page. And Kimberly, is this a good time for you to share the Hops and Hope, or did you want to do that at the end?
I think I'll do a couple event announcements at the end. So
All right.
stay on till the end so that you can find out some of the great ways we're gathering together as a Hope community.
Wonderful. Well, that's all my updates. I'm sure there's more, but that's for another time.
Thanks, Alice. And so Mayor Joan Peck, who's been a longtime supporter of Hope and a longtime advocate for creating solutions for homelessness, had a gathering Saturday. And Alice and I believe Andy were able to go to it. And so Alice, would you share with us how that went? I know I wasn't able to go, so I think we'd all like to know.
Sure. There were about 37 people there who represented the community, the general community at large in Longmont, who want to help and don't know what the answer is. And the answer is tough. But Joan did a great job. Our mayor did a great job of setting the stage of this is a problem-solving meeting and not a bashing meeting, or let's get rid of them. Like let's push them to this side of town. Now let's push them to this side of town. So one thing that Andy and I did was we'd let people know in that general public what we have available. And here soon, I want to put that in the newspaper so that folks do know every single thing that we can do to help out. As you know, we also do coordinated entry through Longmont. And because we do it every single day, we're getting to know brand new people who need assistance. And I'm really proud of that. I wanted to show you a picture of what Joan went to see in Aurora. So this is a company called Pallet, Pallet. And they build these little pallet homes. So if you Google pallet homes online, you're going to see some homes literally made of wood pallets. But this organization, if you do Aurora pallet homes for homeless, then you'll get articles about this. So these homes are made of aluminum. There are 2 bed frames in there. Let me show you that. And let's see, that's 1 bed. And then you can see the air conditioner up high on the right-hand side, little fire extinguisher, and there's heater. So some of the articles that I read did talk about the cost of air conditioning and heating, that would be an issue. But you know, if this was something that was viable for the city, Hope would find a way to help out. You know, maybe we're doing some interventions with the housing piece of it. So this would be temporary. This is a temporary situation while you are actively working with a case manager on housing. And we would make sure that that individuals who would be staying here, they'd be on our case management list. So we'd be meeting with them and helping them get jobs and get those IDs. It's very difficult to help people with housing if they do not have a birth certificate, an ID, and a social security card. The other thing that I researched, let's see. The other thing that I researched is another thing that was going on in Aurora by an organization that's doing a great job are these tents, ice fishing tents. That's what it is. So the ice fishing tents They're very sturdy, but again, you have to put up barriers so that there's walls to protect them and people aren't all coming in. You have to have supervision. You have to set up showers and restrooms. So all of those things would be something to figure out. And the last thing about the mayor's meeting is that I gave a little bit of pushback on the fact that it does appear that there are some people that want to remain homeless. I don't think that's necessarily true. What I think we have is some individuals that their situation is of such that we need gradients of what housing looks like for them. So if you feel stressed out in a shelter, that triggers your mental health issues. What's the next step down? Well, maybe that's a tent. Maybe a tent causes triggers. What would be the next step down for that individual? So getting the best fit for people. But what I've learned over these years is that folks, we all have a sense of family and the need for a sense of family. And so individuals on the streets, maybe they don't have a family, or maybe their family has tried and they've just washed their hands, unfortunately. So folks on the streets are looking for that family unit. And so maybe that's an avenue we take. Like if I were to, figure out a situation like this, I think I would take that family unit that might have been a group of people at Lanyon Park, for example, if this is the route the city would go. Maybe I'd take that family unit and then they would help each other to be successful, but not break up the family unit. When you take one person and you put them in an apartment, you've taken their family, you've taken them out of the family unit. So those are all things that I just wanted to share with you. The meeting was so positive. I was so proud of Longmont, Colorado. It's a tough problem and Hope is here to be a resource. We're doing a lot of street outreach and we're opening up day shelter and evening shelter every time we need emergency sheltering. So we're still trying to reach people, and we're getting a few people. It's a small stream, but they're going with us to the DMV to get IDs, and it's baby steps. So that's all I have on that, Kimberly. I know there was a question. I'm sorry I didn't see it.
No. I want to pull that in. So no surprise, Kristen asked about the pets with the pallet homes. There's the assumption, right, that somebody's pet could be with them in that little home, right? Or
I would certainly hope so, because as you may know, we do have all kinds of pets at Safe Lot in their cars, and we're more in the spring and the summer. Everybody's out playing in the parking lot. Now we have Annie and Millie's Place that are providing doggy daycare for us. We've started doggy daycare, and they have a fundraiser coming up soon that, or not a fundraiser, I think it's like a fair that will spread out, Kimberly, to the general population and to help them out about going and visiting their fair. But they do doggy daycare for us, and that's awesome. I think this is a perfect opportunity. Thank you for bringing that up. I will bring that up with Mayor Joan Peck, that if they go forward on that, it needs to be pet friendly. So that's all I had on that.
wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I even have a heavy heart to have to ask this next question. Why is drug use in America so serious and deadly right now? And it is. It's always been an issue, but why is it really, really heightened right now?
Well, there is a lot of things at play here. It isn't just the mental health condition of a lot of individuals out there, but that plays into it. But the accessibility is a piece. So accessibility, you can get just about anything on the internet. You can get it shipped right to your house. There were some young folks in Greeley who died because they thought they were getting meth or cocaine, and it was laced with fentanyl. On the news last night, there was, I think, Colorado Springs, someone who died because they had the pills. Like, here's a baggie of pills, want them? Well, it's fentanyl, and fentanyl can take an elephant down. So the accessibility is a huge issue. And then in Longmont, we have a problem with methamphetamines, but so does all of the United States. And the problem with meth is that back in the early days, it was made with very pure substances. And people were able to get their high. I read an article where even one of the armed services used it in some aspect during one of the wars. But now meth is made with synthetic materials, and it causes paranoia and it causes severe depression. So where you had happy people once before, now you have people who think around the corner, somebody's after me, and they're dealing with such depression that they're not getting up out of their beds for house people and going to work, and they're accidentally overdosing. So it is a huge issue. And the latest is that if everyone could carry Narcan on them, we have it at the shelters, and maybe what we need to do is increase the availability in the shelter location so that it's a grab and go. And we did save a life this fall with Narcan for that very same reason, for an opiate situation. But I just wanted you to know that it's so accessible. There's so many layers of why it is an issue. And I'm sure that a lot of you have had it touch your lives in some way with someone you know. Thank you, Kimberly.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, switching to a part of our Hope family that we could not do our work without, our volunteers.
Yes.
We have such a strong pool of volunteers, 250 plus individuals that help serve food, help make food, help go out on street outreach, help assemble things at the outreach center. There are so many ways that you and our larger Hope volunteer pool make our work possible. And so we are going to have a brunch. So tell us about that brunch. We're going to eat together.
I know we have soup angels and volunteers out there, and I want you to know that we could not do our job without you. We wouldn't have enough money to buy food. We would have to have staff making food. What you do when I see someone come in the shelter for the first time and they're ragged and disheveled, and they start eating those healthy, warm, nutritious meals, it is amazing. It is thousands and thousands of dollars that represents. And then oh my gosh, the warm sentiments that our volunteers bring to our clients when they're helping serve or when you're doing street outreach. Thank you so very much. So we want to do it big. We're on the downside of COVID. It might go right back up, who knows, but we want to celebrate what you do for us. And if you get an invite and it has a donate button on it, we want to tell you right now, we apologize for that. We were struggling with that silly button. We do not want you to donate any more than what you already do for us. And so on April 9th, 10 a.m., there will be an assortment of breakfast items, eggs and all the sides and all the accoutrements and everything you can imagine. And we'll catch you up on some things. And I will be honest, I'll see if anyone would like to be on our Hope board. We have a few openings and I'll distribute some of that information, but really it's about telling you how wonderful you are and getting your picture taken, because we want to plaster your picture everywhere. So don't come in your pajamas. We're going to no, we love you, and we can't do this without Hope. Hope was built on volunteerism, and it's the strongest part of our organization.
Thanks, Alice. Thanks, Alice. So we had a question rise up that I'm going to put in before I go on to a next thought. There are strips available to test drugs for fentanyl levels. They are available through Boulder County. Maybe they can be given to clients. Anything you want to add in with that, Alice?
That is a great idea. Thank you for that. There is a group, the Works, here in where Boulder County is set up at the hub on Kaufman, and maybe we can reach out to them and ask them that very thing. That is a piece of gold. Thank you so much. That's great. Great to know.
So I have a question to introduce. Do you want to speak a little bit about us taking over coordinated entry? I'm not sure everybody realizes the part coordinated entry plays in Boulder County, what it has been like in the past, what our position has been, and how everything has changed in the past 4 to 5 months.
Oh, good idea, Kimberly. Thank you. So 4 years ago, when we started doing coordinated entry, Boulder Shelter got the contract, and it was evident that it's not that we necessarily felt out of the loop, but we were dealing with folks who needed to do coordinated entry in Longmont, and it wasn't getting done right there that second. And because sometimes if you wait a day, you miss that person. So this year, starting December 1st, Boulder is doing their coordinated entry for anyone in Boulder who calls their number. But anyone in Longmont, we have a phone number too. And they call us. And what we've done is expanded the hours and taken every opportunity to help someone get into the shelter that they fit and that they need. So if you have someone who comes to our shelter on Friday night, we would have to wait till Monday morning to get them help and to figure out who's going to be their case managers. Is it going to be the Boulder shelter? Is it going to be the Longmont navigation shelter? The reason the Hope shelter is a good choice for some people is that they work very well with helping people get onto disability so that when they get into housing, it's through HUD, and their housing will be paid for by that disability payment. That's huge. That has to happen. So that's a piece that we're learning now. So we used to deal with having it refer people from noon to 2 p.m. That's that 2-hour window, Monday through Friday. When there was a change with the executive director of Boulder Shelter stepping down, he noticed that this would be a good change for Boulder and Longmont to do coordinated entry. We do coordinated entry from noon to 5, Monday through Friday. When we meet people at the shelter from 5 to 7, we can do coordinated entry with them. And then my shelter staff that have been trained could do that on the weekends if those particular staff are there on the weekends. But we have such an expanded opportunity to get to people. If anybody leaves a message, we're getting back to them. So we're taking it seriously because we're so blessed and excited that we get to do coordinated entry. And the December numbers said it all when Longmont showed that they did 29 coordinated entry referrals in the month of December alone. So we're doing it right. And I'm really proud of our staff for stepping up and wanting it as much as I wanted it.
Yeah, and I'd like to offer my own outsider reflection on the coordinated entry. I think that whenever any of us takes a step to reach out for help, it can take a lot of courage. It's a really vulnerable moment. And to try to fit stepping out with courage in a small window doesn't always work. I know in one day, I myself can have a variety of emotions that go through the whole day. I'm courageous, I'm hesitant, like, and to kind of tell everyone, okay, you have to take a vulnerable step only between 12 and 2. So
Yeah.
if
Right.
that time doesn't work for you to open your heart and reach out for help, then sorry, you got to wait till another day. And so I think Hope is making such a wise choice coming from our knowing what it's like to work with all our unhoused people by making it so available that we're there in the moment, in the instance when someone says, I think I'm open now. I think I'm willing to do this. Where can I turn? And we're there. And I just think that's incredible what we're doing. So
On Friday, we had a couple call and we could tell right away, oh my gosh, this couple, they needed that one-on-one, face-to-face. So we invited them in like, hey, our office is here at Messiah Lutheran Church, 1335 Francis Street. can you come on over? Do you have a way? Should we figure out a way to get you over here? And they came over and they just sat and cried because of their situation. And we didn't judge them. There were some things they could have done differently, but okay, let's move forward. And everybody just treated them with such compassion. Then they go over to the 804 office. So, we have a lot of our offices here at Messiah, and then we have the outreach where you can get a coat and you can get a sack meal, and that's over at 804 South Lincoln. So they go there and they get some things, and they were just overwhelmed with all the kindness that we were able to show them when, as you said, when they were their most vulnerable. So we can do coordinated entry in person during the day. And then when people walk up to our shelters, we'll do it in person there as well. Some people prefer to call, and that's okay too. So yeah, we're growing, we're learning, and it's been a wonderful experience helping people.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alice. Thank you. Well, do you have some thoughts before I open it up to questions? Anything else you want to add on to everything you've shared with us?
I just feel like we're going to be okay. And, looking at everything that's happening in the world right now, I want you to feel very positive about we're doing okay. We are. And there's just big things going on in our world right now that we need to hold in our heart. People in Ukraine, Asian women who were Americans who were being victimized by other Americans. Keep in our heart all of our neighbors of color. We need to move forward being peaceful and loving, and it's tough times for that. And so those things I think are on my mind heavier than hope is right now. And I love hope with all my heart, but we're going to be okay because of you. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Alice. Thanks. Oh, so much to think about. Oh, good. Let's see a question here. All right. So we have, are you able to help DACA folks to find a path to immigration?
El Comité is the most amazing organization here in Longmont, and they have lawyers set to do that. One of our past navigation clients is working presently to get that in place for himself. And so I want to rely on the experts. And in my book, they are the experts. So if you know anyone who could use some help in this area, please reach out to El Comité. They're amazing.
Thank you. And they are having an event on May 7th.
Yes.
They are renewing their in-person events up here in Longmont. So even if you just want to come out and get to know more about them, and we'll be there. We'll have a table at that event. So come out and support them. It's Cinco de Mayo on Cinco do Siete. If I'm saying that right, I think that's right. Good, good. Any other questions? And then oh good, we've got another one. Oh, El Comité. Let me type an answer. I'm gonna type it in the general chat. So El Comité or El Comité. Great. Any other questions before I move into a few announcements? All right. So we too are starting up our in-person events, and we are really jazzed to be doing this. You all have been incredible to be attending so many panel discussions and live streamed events that we've been putting on in partnership with our Longmont and Boulder friends. But we are stepping out, and we are going to have an event on April 23rd, and I'm going to share that graphic with you so that you can see it. It's a lovely graphic. We're partnering. Okay, let's see. I'm going to share this screen. Great. All right. So we're partnering with Left Hand Brewing. We partnered with them a few times on a few different things, but they've had to be really live streamed given the past couple years. This event is going to be a lot of fun. It's in their new beer garden. If you are a nonprofit and would like to be there, because I've got all these spaces around the perimeter that we're mainly going to have artists, local artists. I love to do events that are win-win on all levels so that we cross-pollinate and we get to talk and support the community and be supported by the community. So there'll be the live music with the bands that you see. There'll be door prizes. There'll be local artists there that you can enjoy what they've been creating over the past 2 years of greater seclusion. And I'm reserving a few spots for some nonprofits that we partner with. So if you do have interest in being there, contact me personally, Kimberly@hopeforlongmont.org. You see my email plastered all over, so I know I don't need to write it in. There's a suggested donation to attend of $20. That it's all donation based, so you can give what you'd like. But let's come together. And in environments like this that are not specifically geared only to the conversation of homelessness, but rather geared towards building local community, there's an opportunity to have meaningful conversations about all of these concerns that are on our hearts. Sometimes it's nice to be in a less formal environment so that we can really talk more deeply and get to know each other personally and professionally. So that's one event. It's April 23rd. And if you're willing to help us spread the word, I have a marketing kit with assets. We have great links and everything I can give to you. Again, email me privately if you're willing to spread the word for this too. So that's a big one. And it's important to us. These events are really important to help us further our work.
Kimberly, that is an amazing site, that beer garden. And it looks like
Yes.
we could bring our lawn chairs.
Yes. The
Okay.
place is completely open. You could bring a blanket, a lawn chair, hula hoops, probably not a football. It's probably not big enough for that. But if you did have little games you wanted to bring, you could show up with your family and camp out. And I just learned yesterday, the food truck is going to be this awesome burger themed food truck. So you can get a burger made your way. With probably all sorts of eclectic toppings as they are today. Great. And then I want to share a second event that's coming up on May 19th. So let me pull this one up. And again, our graphics are not completely done. So please bear with us because you'll see that the Mother House picture is Alice's face. She is not the COO of Mother House, in addition to being the executive director at Hope. But I just got the graphics this morning, so we're tweaking everything. This is another opportunity for us to talk about homelessness. And as Joan so wonderfully drew everyone together to have a community conversation, this is similar. However, over the past 2 years, I have been having panel discussions on varying topics around these issues via Zoom. And while we have had upwards of 175 to 200 people attend those panel discussions, we have had people in the government sector, we've had people in the local nonprofit sector, we have had people who are generally committed citizens in Boulder County, and we have had that and beyond attend. This is going to be our first one in person. So you'll want to come out right at 5 when the doors open. We're going to have refreshments. You can mingle and talk with everyone. You can see our panelists. I know we've got Scott Medina on this call from the Bridge House. So Melissa's going to be representing Bridge House in this panel discussion. We will be recording it live. So if you can't come, you could watch it afterwards. But we're going to do a deep dive and we're going to break open the foundational challenges involved in homelessness. This way we can dissolve the stigmatism and the stereotyping that happens with homelessness. And that happens a lot in the community because it's so easy to have an encounter with one person who's experiencing homelessness and think that is the one face of homelessness. And it just simply is not true. So you can see who we're going to have there. Longmont Community Foundation is going to be helping us out, probably with refreshments and recording, but we're still working out those fun, juicy details. You can register for the event, though just know I'm getting all those details in place right now. And we look forward to coming together in a beautiful environment outdoors at the Longmont Museum under the gazebo. So that is that. Okay, any last comments or ideas or thoughts? And you can email, I'm going to put Alice's email address. And if you want to contact her personally, and everyone knows how to avail and assail me. Alice, any closing comments?
I just want to thank all of you who've helped us get Misty housed over all these years of keeping her on her feet and fed and clothed. So thank you for everything you've all done, keeping all of us in your hearts and keeping open-minded. That's the biggest part. Thank you. Thanks for keeping open-minded.
Thanks so much, Alice. We really appreciate you and your deep devotion and skillfulness that you bring to help those homeless among us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. That concludes our conversation of hope. We're toying with me being the one in the next one, but I'll send out an email so you all know. All right.
Goodbye.
Blessings. Bye-bye.